Welcome to Suman ITTV, India's first and only exclusive, truly dedicated to students, employees, software professionals, where you can learn, unlearn new things, upgrade your skill set, educate, empower in IT enabled services. వెల్కమ్ టు సుమన్ ఐటీటీవీ టెక్ టాక్ సిఇఓ సిరీస్. ఈ సిఇఓ సిరీస్ లో భాగంగా మనం ఈరోజు ఫౌండర్ అండ్ డైరెక్టర్ ఆఫ్ బెంటిక్స్ వేస్ట్ వెంచర్స్, అలానే కో ఫౌండర్ ఆఫ్ వేస్ట్ వెంచర్స్ ఇండియా అండ్ ఇంటర్నేషనల్లీ రికగ్నైజ్డ్ ఆథర్ ఆఫ్ సైంటిఫిక్ పబ్లికేషన్స్ ఇన్ బయాలజీ అండ్ జెనెటిక్స్, మనం ఈరోజు రోషన్ మెరిండాతో ఉన్నాం. తనని అడిగి అసలు వేస్ట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ అంటే ఏంటి, వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తున్నారు, ఈ కంపెనీ ఎలా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది సొసైటీకి, అండ్ ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ అండ్ మెషిన్ లెర్నింగ్ ని యూజ్ చేసి వాళ్ళు వేస్ట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ చేస్తున్నా అంటున్నారు. ఇవన్నీ అడిగి మనం తెలుసుకుందాం. హాయ్ రోషన్, హౌ ఆర్ యూ? వెల్కమ్ టు అవర్ షో.
Hi Simi, a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me over. Pleasure to be at Suman TV studio here, and pleasure to be talking to you as well. Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. So first of all, మీ జర్నీ గురించి తెలుసుకుందాం మనము. How you came into the waste management?
It was a very interesting journey. Well, I call it funnily a midlife crisis.
Okay.
So while I was working as a consultant at one of the companies where I was working for Boston Consulting Group, which is a well-known consulting firm. But while I was trying to thinking of moving from that profession to something else,
Okay.
I was actually trying to see what else can I do. And I hit upon one of my colleagues in BCG only, who told me about, hey, how about waste management? Because the way he pitched it to me was very exciting. What he told me was, this is a sector where you can actually make an environmental impact, which means a positive impact to the environment. Plus also it gets you a chance to work with waste pickers, who are also bottom of the pyramid, and you get to bring in some social impact as well. So that sounded very exciting to me. You can work on both environmental as well as social aspect of the problems when you work in the waste management sector, which is why it became very interesting. Did not think a lot about what are the other sectors I can go into. Jumped in with my colleague, but then I realized that this is where I belong, and I've been here for last 8-9 years now, and I'm excited to be here and do whatever we're doing.
Okay. So what actually do Bentix Waste Research Company?
If you look at waste management, one fact is that India does outstanding job of managing its waste, especially the plastic waste. Because if you take any plastic which has a shape, which is rigid plastics, your shampoo bottle, your water bottle, anything else, right? So if you look at those, maybe a bucket, maybe a chair, all that plastic gets managed really well in India.
Okay.
That's because the waste pickers who come to pick up the waste, they segregate that waste and sell it to somebody and they make money from it. So that brings in revenue for waste pickers. That's a great lesson for everybody in the world, that if you build value in waste, then automatically you will solve the problem, right?
Okay.
So now when we look at waste, the rigid plastics are easily taken care of, but the problem plastics are the chips packets, the chocolate wrappers, the carry bags, the noodle packet, anything that is flexible. That is a problem plastic.
Okay.
Now that plastic is what needs to be managed by. So if anybody is thinking about what should I do in waste management, if they walk on the street of India, you will see that most of the plastic which is lying there is all flexible plastic.
Yeah.
Even if there's a rigid plastic, it gets picked away. Somebody will come and take pictures. So the problem is the flexible plastic, and that is what we wanted to solve.
Okay.
And when we looked at waste and we were thinking about how to solve it, we realized that plastic is nothing but a reflection of what society consumes.
Okay.
Whatever people throw in the bin is whatever they have consumed. So if you understand the habit, if you understand waste, you understand the habits of people. You understand habits of the cities. And then you can build that habit data. And then you can understand a lot about consumption, a lot about how brands are being consumed, and so on.
Can you give a little example what you're saying right now? You're saying you can understand by using the wastage of plastic by the cities itself. So can you give me an
Sure.
example?
I mean, let's say you take two cities for that matter.
Okay.
Just
About Hyderabad.
I'm taking random example of Hyderabad and Bangalore. And if you look at the waste coming from all the cities, just look at the waste in the city. You can go to any dump yard and do it, or you can go to a corner of the street and also do this experiment.
Okay.
Right? You can go to the place and then just look at the waste. And then you can see, is the city consuming more instant noodles, or is Bangalore consuming more instant noodles? Well, instant noodle is Maggi, EP and all that, right? Top ramen. Just by looking at the waste, you can understand which city is consuming more instant noodle. Right? And then you can go one level further and then say which are the brands which are being consumed.
Okay.
Right? And then you can go one level further and then see which city has gotten Korean noodles now, because Korean noodles is a big famous.
Yeah,
most of your readers must be, having most of your viewers must be consuming Korean noodles. Which city is consuming more Korean noodle? And then you can also answer the question: is Korean noodle coming first into a city, or Korean beauty, did that come in first? Right, by looking at the waste itself. So you can understand a lot about what consumption is happening in a city by looking at the waste. Now, with that, what you do is you're building data about waste, right? And now, because data is of course valuable.
Yeah.
So what I've been saying is, if you add value, then automatically things get solved. So because data is a new value to waste, now you can use that value and then solve the waste management problems. It also happens in two ways. One is that because now the instant noodle packet, it's flexible, had no value before. Now, because it's of data value, I value it a lot. I want to make sure that I don't miss that plastic anywhere. So now we value any types of plastic very highly. We have removed that collection bias. This is highly valuable plastic, there's no value plastic, nothing like that. Every plastic is highly valuable. Now, because there is a value system in the waste management, from the data coming into play, now you can use that value to make sure that the waste management is formal, it's done really right. People are excited about waste management. They don't look at waste the way they looked at it before. So it brings in a different perspective towards waste. So that's why we say we see waste differently. And also our consumers or households also see waste differently. It's a rich source of value.
So now, in how many cities Bintix research is in, and in all the cities are you people are working with the households?
We are in 7 cities. Hyderabad is where we started. This is our home. Hyderabad, we are in Bangalore. We are also in Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and plus Lucknow. We plan to scale up to 5 more cities in the next year or so. Hopefully, we'll do it.
So, in above all these cities, which city is you're looking into the top notch that you can, doing better?
Well, for us, Hyderabad does better because this is our home.
Okay.
This is where we belong. This is where we started. But at the same time, Bangalore is another city where I also come from Bangalore because my parents are from Bangalore. My co-founder is also from Bangalore, Jay. So we both also work in Bangalore. So Bangalore is another city which is doing really well for us. But now, if you look at waste management in itself, there are examples in India which are doing far better than any other city in the world. Indore is a great example. It's the cleanest city, and you know that everything. And if you go there, it's a revelation.
Yes.
It's an inspiration to what you can do in the waste management space. So I think if people, government, everybody puts their mind into it, solvable problem. And we can do it. But for us, all these 6 cities are doing reasonably well, and we collect it from there. And this is where the biggest problems of waste are. But also, I want to urge your viewers, the next biggest problems are the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the smaller cities, smaller towns. They're growing the most in the waste production. And I urge people from the smaller towns, smaller cities, to either find solutions independently or work with us to find solutions. Because that's where the next big problem is going to happen. And we hope amongst your viewers, we'll find those young people who will actually solve that problem.
So you're saying you're collecting waste from the households, right? So is it means that you people are connected or emerged in the GHMC and you're working, and how it is working, what it is?
We are a private player as of now, and we work with few thousand households only, so we're not that big. But you're right. We need to find a way to work with the government. Right. So, for example, in cities where there's empanelment process, We work with empaneled vendors. We don't do collections ourselves. We actually work with entrepreneurs in every city to do the operations
Okay.
and collection. So all these entrepreneurs are in the city have either empaneled themselves with the government, municipality, city municipality, or in the process of empaneling. In Hyderabad, unfortunately, we are not empaneled yet. We are working with partner Waste Ventures India. But in every other city where there's empanelment process and the startups are encouraged to be part of the empanelment process, they're actually working with startups in the waste management process who are already empaneled.
Okay.
So we would love to work with the government because this is a great service we are doing to the public. And I think, of course, government should take credit for what we do as well because, they've given us an ecosystem where we can thrive. So why not? I think it's an amazing opportunity for both of us. But we're very small. I think governments will not take notice of us yet.
Okay.
But very small.
So
But-
when you are not working with the government, how these households need to pay to the company of yours, or how it is working, the waste collection?
Oh, well, the waste collection is absolutely free
Okay.
for all our households.
They don't need to pay anything to the company
Absolutely
of
free.
yours.
Absolutely free.
Hmm.
We, in fact, pay them for the waste they give us.
Wow.
We
okay.
pay them 4 rupees per kg.
Oh.
And then we collect the waste. We also give them bags into which they can put the waste and then zip tie it.
Yeah.
and give
So
it to
what
us.
is that blue bag story?
Blue bag? Yeah,
Yeah.
blue bag story. I think you can include
Yeah.
that video into this.
Yes, sure.
So once they collect the bags, they bring it to the warehouse and we do all the waste management that we do.
Mhm.
But this is an absolutely free service for households.
Mm.
All that they have to do is segregate the waste into
You
wet
mean
and
wet
dry
and the
waste.
dry waste.
Dry waste and
Okay.
reject waste.
Mm.
In that, we take dry waste as Bintix,
Mhm.
but our partners in every city, they
Okay.
provide wet waste solutions if you need one.
Okay. So if they don't want to use your service for the wet waste, they can give it to the GHMC. Is it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Fine.
But they have segregated the waste.
Mhm.
Once you segregate the waste, you kept the value of the waste intact.
Okay. If it
It's
is
not
mixed, if it
Then
is
you
mixed.
lost the waste. I always tell people, if you give us newspaper,
Mm.
then we'll recycle it.
Okay.
If you give our partner Waste Ventures India sambar,
Mm.
idli sambar,
Mhm.
they'll compost it. Now, if you take the same newspaper,
Mm.
dip it in sambar,
Sambar.
soak it for like 8 hours,
Okay.
and give it to somebody,
Mm.
neither is newspaper useful nor is sambar useful. So, unless you segregate the waste, the value of the waste is lost.
Okay.
So now, because you're working with Bintix, you've kept given the dry waste to Bintix. The wet waste is still valuable. It can still be composted
Mm.
by GHMC or by GHMC vendors.
Mm.
So the value remains intact because you've segregated.
So now coming to the part of how you guys are collecting and segregating, and this is very interesting part, right? Who's collecting this first and where it is taking to them.
So our partners collect the waste from individual houses.
Okay, yeah, you said
Sometimes the communities sign up with us where the housekeeping does the pickup and then
Okay.
brings it to one place.
Mm.
And then of course, vehicles reach.
Mhm.
This is again our partners.
Okay.
All the operations are done by our partners.
Mm.
So our partners include in Hyderabad, it's Waste Ventures India. In Mumbai, it is Sampurna Earth.
Mm.
In Bangalore, Shudla, in Recent Innovations, Prithvi Innovations, and so on. Right. So these are the partners who actually go to the warehouse, to the individual houses or to the communities and pick up the waste bags,
Okay.
bring it to our warehouse,
Mhm.
and that's where we collect the data from the waste. And once through machine learning algorithms, and there's a lot of there's data capture, there's data cataloging and curation, and there's a data analytics, and then there's data deployment, right? So now, if you look at that value chain, there's at every step there is operations happening, and this is actually done by our partners who are in a given city.
Mhm.
We of course make sure that it's quality checked, it's done right properly, and so on. But at the end, it's the entrepreneurs who are in a given city help us out, which is why I wish there were more entrepreneurs and then they all come up and we all work together.
Mhm.
So I always say anybody in the waste management space is our cooperator, means they work with us. They're not our competitor. We're not a competition to any company in the waste management space because we depend on
Mm.
waste management entrepreneurs to get our work done.
So after this segregation, what you're going to do? Is it recycling, or what is this process?
Once the waste is sorted into different types,
Mm.
we sort waste into 72 different types.
Oh.
For example, there's a water bottle and that is kept separately. Shampoo bottles and all those things are kept separately. That's HDPE bottle. Milk packets are kept separately. And even within plastic, there are a lot of color-based differentiation we do. Red plastic, blue plastic, and so on. Now, with the modern technology coming in, color-based technology is not needed anymore because the recyclers are doing it on their own. There are amazing recyclers in Hyderabad sector who do it as well. Now, beyond that, even the paper gets segregated into multiple different types. And then we send the waste to various recyclers across India.
Okay.
So that they can process this way.
So how AI and ML you are using technology into the waste management? Can you please?
See, technology becomes very critical part of what we do. We call it a spinal cord of our work. Because unless the technology is available to us, we've built a lot of it ourselves. We've leveraged technology from across the world. There are technologies that are already built. Big people have built amazing technology. We can leverage that. Right? Unless we do that, anything I told you about, starting from collection and traceability of waste, making sure it's a formal waste. People have an app. Households have an app, and they can look at on the app. They can look at how much waste they have recycled, how much money they have earned, how many trees they have saved. They can actually post it on, post it on Facebook and do all that. So everything from the household side, from collection, all the way to bringing it to the warehouse.
So everything they can check in the app itself.
Right? So that's just about a customer touch point. It's a first point of technology coming in as a touch point. Right? Then there is waste. Once it's picked up, it's tracked from each household all the way to the recycler through QR coded technology. Right? Now that waste traceability is happening because of technology. Right? Now then is, of course, identification of what's being consumed. Right? If you sit and then start noting down what is waste being consumed in a city, you will just run out of pages and ink, and then people can do that. It has to be done through technology. So we leverage machine learning technologies which can actually, just by looking at the waste, the cameras, the backend technology can identify what type of waste it is.
Okay.
Right? And then you can use that for different purposes. You can use it to build a data set or to sort the waste further. We don't use that to sort the waste yet.
Okay.
Now that is one level, right? So now then the next level is once the waste is identified, because what we do is we identify the barcode on the waste. But then you want to understand what it is. It's a Bailey water bottle. So then all the data cataloging is also driven by technology.
Okay.
Then all the data analytics is driven by technology. Now at every level, what is happening is the technology the way we saw technology a year ago is very different from the way we are seeing technology today. With the advent of chat GPTs and the artificial intelligence being so easily available and already trained by somebody else for you to utilize, it's an outstanding opportunity. Now we are looking at technology very differently. Anything that is mundane, which is repeatable, can be done by computer very easily.
Yeah, very easily.
Before we had to train the computer to do it, and we had to build everything ourselves. Now with artificial intelligence coming in, it's very, very easy for computers to do this job. And it's not very difficult for you to tell the computer how to do the job as well. So that's the problem that is being solved already. You can easily tell what you need and the computer does it for you.
True.
It's like before we had to code everything. Now we're talking to a computer, right? For example, we feed a lot of data and ask the computer, hey, this is the barcode I got and everything printed on the packaging is here. What brand is it? It tells you that it's Bailey. Now I don't have to code anything. I just have to ask the computer, right? So technology is completely kind of overwhelmed the way we look at the technology itself and its presence in how we use it. All right. And the ease of using artificial intelligence is very, very high now. So you can very easily look at it and then use it in your own systems. So I think technology is the reason why we could do what we do. And now it will drive further about all the possibilities we can explore. Starting from recognizing the waste to cataloging the waste, to analyzing the waste, to even deployment or kind of actually showing the people, clients, what the analytics are. So it kind of plays a role in every segment actually.
Okay. So who are your clients actually?
For example, all the recyclers that I spoke to you about, they are clients. They provide us revenue by buying all the materials. Waste management players themselves also use the technology that we use. So that's the beauty of this, right? So we built the technology for ourselves so that we could trace waste from households to the recycler.
Yeah.
Now, what the waste management players in the country are doing is, can we use the technology for our purposes? So we actually have repurposed it for their purpose, and they also use the technology, and they also pay for that technology.
Okay.
So they also become our clients. But then on the data side, the clients are major FMCG companies. For example, Kellogg's was our first client who looked at our data. Hershey's was next, and then now we have Unilever, ITC, L'Oreal, Marico, Coca-Cola. These are all the clients who work with us for the data. So it's technology is required for operations, and that is what we provide to households. And technology that we have built for ourselves, we have actually outsourced it and given it to everybody else to use it as well, who pay for that technology and use it.
Okay.
And using the technology, whatever the data we build, we are giving it to FMCG companies as well.
So especially in Hyderabad, in which areas of households Bentix is giving the services?
In Hyderabad, we cover 70 pin codes.
70.
70. And then we actually work with, I think, 150 communities across. So we pretty much work across Hyderabad, starting from Sainikpuri in that corner. I know there's bigger city outside Sainikpuri now. But for us, when we started, Sainikpuri was the last corner. Sainikpuri tak jaan. So then, we went to Sainikpuri. We also, near to warehouse, which is near to airport, all the way to the west on Nalagandla and everything. That's an amazing communities, Telapur, which are part of us. On the east side as well in Secunderabad. So we covered pretty much all of Hyderabad.
What type of suggestion or guidance you want to give to the students, especially whoever want to come into the waste management?
Well, I have a suggestion for people who are coming into waste management, and I have a suggestion for people who want to come into technology as well, being in the IT sector. People who want to come into the waste management sector, we need hundreds and thousands of these people. We need people who can come and start smaller companies, manage waste at a smaller level, at their cities, at their villages, work with partners like us, and make sure that there is waste segregation happening and there's waste management happening. Right? We need people to come in and work in this sector. It's a sector waiting for people to come and disrupt and take it to the next level. So more the people, better it is. We definitely need a lot of talent. Now, coming to people in the IT sector, I always talk about the intrinsic talent people have and the extrinsic, knowledge that they actually obtain through the studies. So anything that you study in the college, everything, that's all fantastic. You score really well. You do well in your exams. You understand certain topics really well. Some topics you may not understand so well. All that is extrinsic, which means you understand the knowledge and you become an expert in it. The value of that extrinsic knowledge is becoming smaller and smaller with the advent of AI technologies, Google coming in, right? It's becoming smaller and smaller, but still experts are required, and that is something that we should continue to own. This intrinsic talent is what I'm talking about, is your qualities of being a leader, your qualities of being able to convince your own home people or your friends or anybody else on your ideas, being able to communicate, say what you mean, being able to very clearly communicate, are all the things that people will have to build now. Especially with AI coming in, all the repetitive jobs are going to be taken away.
So what they need
data
to do?
entries and all those are going to be going away.
So what they need to do?
So they need to learn how to communicate people, how to build things that the computer cannot build in a second. Right? So that is what is very extremely critical. Of course, technology have always evolved. Something has come in, and the world has found a way to live with it and then thrive with it. Right?
Sure.
So that will happen. So all that, what I ask of people is, do not dream of having some job which just makes you sit and then do some data entry. Those days are gone. No.
So they have to learn. They have to upgrade their skill.
Yes, and then be employable. Talk to people. Just don't be shy. And then learn new things. Build the intrinsic abilities. That's what is important.
And then coming to the point of how central government or state governments are supporting this waste management entrepreneurs.
Well, I think there has been an initiative of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which has definitely brought in a lot of awareness about waste into everybody's mind. So whenever you talk about waste, people talk about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, right? So that means there's an awareness within people's mind about waste management and a need for it. Now, not a lot of people know about segregation of waste, which remains a challenge. But I wish that awareness also went into segregation of waste, which I'm sure the government is doing its job. There's a lot more coming out. In terms of state governments, we benefited quite well because we are part of T-Hub, which is one of the incubation hubs, and we sit out of it and our team sits out of it. And that's an initiative of the state government, which we really, really appreciate. And we benefit from it. But then there are a lot of things in the waste management space. I wish the government took a proactive way of doing it. For startups, it's fantastic, and awareness, it's fantastic. Because there is a lot of regulation already existing in the waste management space.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, it is mandatory for every household to segregate the waste.
Yeah.
In India.
Everybody knows that.
Yes.
But
If everybody knows it, that's a victory for us. But I don't think everybody does. But anyway, but not everybody segregates the waste. Unless
no one is segregating.
Unless government pushes people to segregate the waste.
Yeah.
Right? For example, Indore segregates 98% or maybe 100% now. And Bangalore segregates 42%. In Hyderabad, it's lower than that. And I wish there was an initiative from government, because that is an area where government has to invest money. That's an awareness building exercise. And that has to be one of the key areas where government wants to do something. So I wish there was a lot more effort in actually making sure the existing regulations are actually doing the job. And that connectivity is what we need from the government.
And coming to the point of while using this AI and ML, what is the impact in this waste management especially?
I think machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence will transform the way waste is managed.
Okay.
I'll give you one simple example. Today, I am also on the board of Waste Ventures India, which works in the waste management space with a lot of waste pickers. Now, when waste pickers come and then sell them plastic, they sell them all plastic mixed together. So water bottle to shampoo bottle to everything put together. And when they buy a plastic, when they buy a lot, they give one price to that whole lot. Now, if you had a camera which just looked at on a conveyor belt, when you put all the waste and looked at a conveyor belt and identified the quantity of this bottle versus that bottle versus different type of plastic, you can easily identify what is the right value for that lot, right? Waste picker might be getting paid less than what he deserves.
Okay.
Right? So then if that algorithm existed, you can actually give a little bit higher price. And you can be competitive in the market too. When you give a higher price, then market becomes responsive to you. They actually sell it to you. So that is just one simple tool which can actually change. This is just a machine learning based algorithms which identify what type of waste is coming in the conveyor belt. As simple as that, right? So that is one tool. Or for that matter, now all the waste management is actually happening on a very analog base.
Okay.
Not a lot is digital. And because of that, what happens is all the data that all these companies have is all in the analog space. And if you can bring it onto the digital platforms, if you digitize those and use that data, you can actually build algorithms to actually understand where am I putting the effort. Right? Should I be focusing a lot more on Jubilee Hills because of the type of waste that they produce? Or should I be focusing a lot more on Nalagandla? Or should I be on Nagol? Right? You can actually understand what type of waste is being produced and what should be my efforts, not today, in 5 years later. What should be my efforts in terms of building the right infrastructure?
Okay.
The waste can be managed. Of course, you can do this using simple technology, simple algorithms, but you can also build it more efficiently if you use machine learning algorithms in this process. So I would say it's just the beginning. So we are talking about few use cases that I can think about today.
Yeah.
But I think this sector will benefit immensely from machine learning algorithms and AI explosion that is happening.
Thank you, Roshan. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience about the waste management with us.
Thank you, Simi. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. And I hope, all your viewers start segregating the waste from today. And also, I hope hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs come out from the universe. All the best to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
సో చూసాం కదండి ఈరోజు మనం ఒక వేస్ట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ కంపెనీ ఏఐ అండ్ ఎంఎల్ తో ఎంత ప్రగతిని సాధిస్తుందో. ఈ వీడియో కనుక మీకు నచ్చినట్లయితే కింద కామెంట్ సెక్షన్ లో కామెంట్ చేయండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. స్టే ట్యూన్ విత్ us.